Hello.
Hello.
All
Hello, good morning.
good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Sorry, we are using time to wait a little for others to join so that we can start immediately. Okay, let's give ourselves 5 more minutes. I hope you can all hear me very well, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Very much. So I'll be back in 5 minutes time. So for those that will be joining this morning session, I will continue from there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm back. I think we have waited enough. So I think it's better we start now. Please, in case you can't hear me, let me know through the chat and I will adjust as appropriate. Can you all see the slide I'm presenting?
Yes.
Okay, that's very good. Okay, let me start by introducing myself. Why we have this delay is because some people from Nigeria are joining us, and maybe because of the time difference, some of them are, they thought it's 10 a.m. in their time, and 10 a.m. is still 1 hour's time. So I'm trying to send an email to remind all of them that we are starting now. Okay, my name is Da Silva Ayodeji. Ayodeji is my first name. I'm a Nigerian. I currently live in Sweden for over 1 year now. And I started Developers College way back when I was in my country, Nigeria. And Developers College is meant to educate the people that, I won't say less privileged, but people that really wants to either change their career or wants to do a new thing or wants to learn how to write sophisticated softwares and programming, but don't have the means in terms of money and other resources. So we started way back in 2016, and then we were able to get a lot of people. As at then, we had these big companies that are doing this training and charging a high amount of money, which most ordinary people on the street cannot afford. So we decided to bring it down and then teach people for free. While some were paying, some were doing it for free, depending on when we assess what you are capable of. And so we did it for almost 3 years. And then we lost where we were using because we were hoping that we'll still have access to the accommodation we were using. Because once the payment for accommodation, because it was a physical classroom training we were doing. So since the payment for the accommodation is not there, and so people were able to subsidize the money for people to learn for free. But after a while, we stopped. And then since everything is now online now, we decided to start again. Okay, so what we are doing is just to teach people and to introduce them to programming and to mentor them. Okay, so we call it Developers College because it is only developers that will be teaching on this platform, not somebody that has once been a developer and is no longer into development. We usually use current developers, people working real life in industries and writing softwares because they are doing this every day and this is what they do. They are the best people that can put you on the right track to follow when you want to learn programming. And so joining me today are some of our teachers that will be teaching. And after I'm done introducing Developers College and introducing myself, they will introduce themselves too. And so this summer training is going to span for 2 weeks. We called it intensive training because we're going to be having it both in the morning session and the evening session. In case you missed some of them, I think I'm trying to record this session so that maybe I can send it to you guys to listen to if you miss any of the sessions. Okay, so I understand that so many people filled or selected a list of programming languages they're interested in, but there's something we forgot to include in that form, which is your level of understanding of those programming languages. Either you're a beginner or you don't know anything at all in programming, or you are an intermediate or a professional and you just want to learn another programming language. So having said that, I'm going to ask some of my colleagues here to introduce themselves. So I'll go again starting from myself, and then I will explain how this program is going to run. So this morning, we are going to be doing introduction to web. This will run for 3 days, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and it's going to be morning and evening. And for those that wants to learn Python and Java, Python is starting on Wednesday, and strictly is going to be an evening session. Java is starting tomorrow, and it's going to be morning session. Okay, so these instructors that I'm going to be introducing, they are doing this for free, and we are not charging anybody. So we also have to work with their time. I'm able to do this right now because I'm on vacation now, and I believe most of them too are on vacation, but people have plans for their vacation. Okay, so we'll be working with their time, but in case any one of us need clarifications, or maybe after the training you still need more explanations, you can always reach out to me, and I'm always here. I'll be online to attend to your request. Okay, so I'm going to be taking the introduction to web, and that will involve HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Some of us will not know what that means. I will explain when it's time. And I have with me Arinze. I would ask him to introduce himself. He will be taking Node.js. Arinze, are you here? Can you introduce yourself? Thank you.
Yeah, I'm here. Turned on my camera, I don't know. Okay. Yeah, I'm Arinze, and I'll be taking the Node. Primarily, I'm actually a Java developer, but yeah, I have done some Node, so I will be taking the Node. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Arinze will be starting his session. Is it on Wednesday or tomorrow for Node?
It's Wednesday. We are
Wednesday, yes.
Yeah.
So Arinze will be starting Node.js on Wednesday, and it's going to be in the morning sessions. So that means on Wednesday, when we are starting Python in the evening, we are starting, we'll continue, or we'll be ending this introduction to web. The class of Node.js will be starting in the morning too. And at that time too, Java is going on. So this is going to be like different classes at the same time. So you really have to decide which of the classes you want to join, because definitely you can't learn everything. But the prerequisite that is required for everybody is to learn this introduction to web. I would strongly advise everybody to learn that. And I think we can finish it in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 classes. We should be able to cover it, because what we do is basically practicals. And then we'll give you some videos or link to YouTube videos that you can watch to help your understanding more. But basically, we'll be doing practicals so that you can learn with people that are working in the industry already. Okay, I think I have with me, Peter is no longer here. Peter, are you here? Can you introduce yourself? You are muted. We can't hear you.
It's Peter. I live and work in Sweden. I'll be responsible for the Python session.
Okay, so that is Peter. Peter will be starting Python on Wednesday, strictly evening classes. And our Java instructor, can you introduce yourself?
Hello guys, I am Ankush, and I have experience of like 7 years. I've been working and learning Java, so I'll be taking on Java for you all guys. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, guys. So there's one more person that's supposed to join us, but is unavailable right now. He's on vacation. So, but when we want to start real work in September, because this is meant to be a free training, but the main work will be starting in September. So he will also be a Java developer. His name is Hussein. Okay, so I see someone just joined us right now. Okay, thank you for introducing yourself, our instructors. We'll be starting with introduction to prerequisite. And before I do that, I would like to ask some questions. For those of us that are connected, I would like you to introduce yourself briefly, since we are not much. I think some other people selected evening class, something. So Just introduce yourself. Let me know your experience or what you know in programming. If you don't know anything at all, you can also state that so that I can take a note and be able to understand the class people will be teaching in this period. So I'll be starting with, there's a name here, Bertrand Esumba. Yeah. Can you introduce yourself?
Okay, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Bertrand. So I'm like a beginner starting new. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Bertrand. So that means you don't know anything about web programming or software programming right now. Okay,
yeah.
Thank you. Adebola Oni, are you here?
Yeah, I am here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes,
Can you? Okay, go ahead.
Uni Adebola Thomas. Precisely, I would say I'm a beginner because although I've crossed my hand with HTTP, but of course, it's just so a few days back, but I am a beginner and I'm willing to learn. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, all right. Billy, can you introduce yourself?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, I'm Brother Billy Omononya. I thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm also a beginner. I've heard about this web design, HTML and all that, but I've never really had an idea, as it were, about it. So I'm also a beginner. I'm open to learn.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, now I have my house pastor here, church pastor, Pastor Tila. Could you please introduce yourself, sir?
Hello, good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir.
Tila Mukasa is my beautiful name, and I should say that for now, I think I'll call myself a beginner. For the simple reason that I worked briefly several years. I used to program on COBOL. Did a bit of Bol and Pascal 7.0. I did a bit of VB 5.0, PLSQL in Oracle, 8i application development, and a bit of HTML and VBA programming, but those are almost 20 years ago. So right now, as we speak, I should consider myself as a beginner. And I'm really, really eager to get myself on board with everything and recoup everything that I had lost.
So if false, we'll get
Thank
that
you.
code in there.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. So I think that's all we have for now. And we'll be starting very soon. So let's just give it another 5 minutes. Let me send the final notice to people that have signified interest. Some people sent emails that they won't be able to attend this morning session, but they would prefer the evening session. So, but let's give it a 5 minutes for others to join before we start. So I'll be back by then. Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Good.
Okay. I'm back. I never left anywhere, so I've always been here. I'm just trying to see if others will join. Okay, but I think we have to start. So, like I said, this morning we're going to be doing some bit of introduction to what programming is all about, the concept of programming, and then we'll be introducing us to the web programming. So, I'm going to be using the slide. If you cannot see the slide, let me know. We'll be following the slide and then we'll be doing a lot of practicals. So before that, I sent out a link yesterday. How many people received my link? Definitely, if you don't receive it, you won't be here. So I indicated that there are some softwares you should have installed on your system before joining this meeting. In case you didn't do that, there won't be enough time in this session to be able to do that, but I will try as much as possible to explain how to go about it. But if in case we cannot, we still can do the installation while this training is going on. I would really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's go ahead now.
There's a question in the chat.
Yes, sorry, I'm new to Zoom. I'm trying to find my way around, and this thing is just popping up and off. So let me check the chat. Thank you. Oh, a lot of messages. Sorry, I have to read it. Can you guys hear me? Because I'm trying to speak right now, and I think someone is saying he can't hear me. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, so it's I think it's loud enough. So this morning session is going to last for 2 hours or less, depending on how fast we can move. And the hours has already started counting. And we all know that I'm using the free version of Zoom. So maybe every 40 minutes is going to log us out. But I will try to resend the link again to us, or you can just click on the link again after like 2 minutes. When it goes up, then we'll come back. So I'll be pausing in between the program. So morning session is for Sweden is starting between 10 to 12. And for the evening session, it will be starting for Sweden around 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. Okay, and then, but for Nigeria, it's starting by 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. and 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. So that's how we intend to run it, but it can be less than that. And if you want to leave at any point in time, you can just send a private message and everything will be fine. Okay, so I would like to start now. I want to minimize the screen so that I can see my introduction to web. Are we all ready to go now? Should I go on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So the course we are in for this morning is introduction to web. So I'll be talking about what is a web. I believe we all know what the web is. We have our phones and we go to websites and we browse and all that. So, but there are some basic things we need to know. So that's what I'll be taking a look at today. Okay, Steve Jobs. For some of us that know who Steve Jobs is, said that everybody in this country, he was referring to America, but let's leave the country part and just say everybody needs to do what? Should learn how to program a computer because it teaches you how to think. So it's very important for you to know how to program, especially for kids. I've already started with my daughter. My son is still young to understand. So kids too need to learn how to program. And so everybody in the world really needs to learn how to program because it's going to really teach you how to think. It's not as if you don't know how to think before now, but there's a way that programmers think that's a little bit different from the way other people do. Okay, I think I need to be clicking for the slides to move. Okay, disclaimer alert. By learning how, sorry, when you come in, can you just mute so that, sorry, give me a minute. I need to mute this.
Look at Uncle Billy. Look at him. Did you see him?
Participants.
Probably you can mute Billy.
Yes, I think I've seen where to mute this now. Okay. All right. I think we should go on. Thank you. So disclaimer alert is that that you learn how to program doesn't mean you have the responsibility for creating the next Facebook or the next Dropbox. So it's always good to set your goals and your dreams high, but that doesn't mean that you have to be the one to do it because there are a lot of other things you can do when you learn how to program. So that's what this disclaimer is all about. Why should you learn programming? For most of us that are beginners, so it's very good for us to understand why we need to learn programming. Programming will do one thing for you. It helps your thinking capacity and helps you to make your thinking process structured and be very creative. Okay, so that's the number one thing, that's reason why you should learn programming, because for example, most programmers, all we do is we solve problems. And so by solving problems means that you must find a solution to the problems. And for every problem, there are various kind of solutions you can find to it. So like, for example, if I'm given a task or a problem to solve, the way I'll go about it might be different from the way someone else will go about it. So it is very important for you to know how to think deeply and be able to solve problems in the simplest way. Okay, so learning programming will help you to do that. Okay, programming also makes things easier for you in the sense that with programming, when you have automated the things that you do, maybe some routine jobs that you do regularly, if you automate it, then it makes things easier for you. An example I'll give is most of you that received my emails yesterday, I didn't send it out manually. I wrote an application in .NET, which I used to send out the mail. So it's automated email. I just populated an Excel file with your email addresses, and then it's sent out the mails. I will show you. I'll show that to you when you during the course of the lecture. I will show the application to you that I used. Okay, so programming makes things easy for you. Learning to program also teach you persistence. Okay, it helps you to. I'm sorry, this thing is not swinging back and forth. Okay, so it also teaches you persistence. I'll talk about persistence. Persistency in the sense that when you are solving a problem, for me especially, if I don't have a solution to the problem and I've not found the solution yet, I don't like standing up for my system. And I see that I'm spending more hours on the system, I get angry within myself, but there's nothing I can do. I have to be patient and look for a solution. So sometimes I can just take a 5-minute walk, refresh my brain, and then come back to the problem. By the time you come back to sit down, you realize that the solution is at your fingertips. So it helps you to be patient because you can't really get angry with a problem. You have to provide a solution. Getting angry with the problem is not the solution, but solving the problem is the solution. So learning programming will help you to be a patient person. Okay? And then there are other various types of reasons why we learn programming. For example, for myself, you can decide to have a change in career. I didn't tell you a little bit about my profile when I started. I used to be a .NET developer. Like Pastor Mokasa said, I did VBA, VB5, VB6. I did VB.NET. I did a lot of SQLs. We did Fortran and COBOL too. And then after a while, I decided to move to Java. And that's what I do now, although not at high senior levels. But it's when you learn programming, you can decide to change what you are doing and change your career path. You might be maybe someone that's working in a factory, or you are working, you have your own job, you're an entrepreneur or something like that. And then you just desire a change, or working in management or whatever, and you just desire a change, maybe you're tired of what you're doing, you can try programming. So with programming, you can change your career, and it's quite easy. Number two, another point is that you can make a lot of money working for yourself. You can make money working for yourself. You can make money working for people, developing websites, building applications, mobile applications, and the rest of them. And then you can even build some applications that will make money to be working for you. For example, there are applications that some of us have built that every month they just pay you maybe maintenance fee or monthly maintenance fee, depending on what kind of application you pay. Or you build an app and then you get advert money from Google every month. So that is money working for you, but you have to have built something before that. And then we all know about this coronavirus pandemic thing. Most people are losing their jobs. So with programming, at least you have like 60% chance that you might retain your job. Even if you lose it in your current employer, you might get it somewhere else. So you can never be out of job with programming. And the last thing I've also mentioned before, working for yourself. So these are some of the reasons why you should learn programming. Okay, so I'll be moving on. Please, I would like feedback in case you can't hear me at any point in time. You can just buzz me so that I can adjust at every point in time. Thank you. So I'll be moving on to the next one. Okay. So, having said that, hello. Okay. Should I move ahead?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go on, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So having said that, yeah. Thank you. Having said that, so we are going to talk about the types of software developers that we have in the world today. It's good to always do this introduction so that you can understand what you want to learn and why you should do it. So you don't do things because they said the world is moving towards IT now. Everybody is rushing to IT, so I want to go into IT. You must understand that in IT we have several sections and divisions. Programming is just, software development is just one of them. And there are other things, IT security and the rest of them. So server management, there are many branches in IT, but if you want to go into software development, you must have a reason for going into it. So I'll be talking about types of software developers. We have the most popular ones for application development are front end, back end, full stack, and we have a lot of others. Like we have some people call them mobile developers, web developers, desktop developers, graphics. We even have graphics developers. These are the people that build rendering engines and all that. And we also have DevOps developers. These are people that write and automate all your CD pipelines and CI/CD pipelines, and also data scientists, people that make sense of big data and chunk lots of data and turn it to a reasonable information for management. So these are all developers. But in the course of this study, we're going to be talking about 3 types of developers: the front end, the back end, and the full stack. So moving on to the next. So what is front end development? Front end development builds the visible part of the website that user can see and feel. Okay. For example, you have a website. When you visit a website, the part of the website, the home screen that talks to you is the front end that people and users can interact with. You can click a button, you can do this, you can do that on the page. So those front ends are built by front end developers. Okay, and so there are some technologies that they use, which we also call programming languages. They have to make use of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And in JavaScript, there are a lot of frameworks in JavaScript that they can use for this front-end development. We are not going to go into details now. I'm just trying to give you a general overview of everything. There are some that they call React, Angular, Vue, and the rest of them. But with time, you get to understand them. But for now, just know that front-end developers are people that build the UI or the user interface visible part of the website for you to interact with. Backend development has to do with people that build under the hood of the main application. So you're on the website, you are just clicking, you are watching a video, you are doing this and that on the website. You don't really understand what is going on in the back of the website. So these backend developers are the people that are the main engine of your application. So let's not limit it only to website now. It could be a mobile app, it could be a web application, it could be a Windows application or whatever it is. So the people that build the core engine, we call it services or APIs or microservices. So most of them, we call them backend developers. So the user don't interact with them directly, but they are there. And I'm one of them, and so also my colleagues. Okay, so what does this mean for front end versus back end? So this explains that while the front end is everything that the user interacts with directly, the back end is much more behind the scene and can have some advantage over front end technologies. Let's not go into that now. So for those of us that want to learn Java, C#, Python, PHP, and the rest of them, so you are basically learning back-end development. You are basically learning back-end development, and I think it's a good one, but that doesn't mean that you can't use this to develop some CSS, HTML, JavaScript too, because C#, Java, they also have their web part that can do that. But most people right now will not prefer to use that. They will use the front-end technologies and the JavaScript frameworks that we have to do their front-end, and then build their back-end with all these other technologies. Okay, so then after that, I've explained 2 types of developers, front-end and back-end. Then we have people that we call full-stack developers. So what they are all about is they understand both the front-end and the back-end, so they do everything. So they know how to use HTML, CSS, and JavaScript to build the front end. And they also know how to write Java, Python, or C# to build the back end. And so fusing both of them together, these people have these 2 skills. And they can work either here or here. But not just learning HTML and CSS, JavaScript and say you're a full stack developer. No, you must understand probably a particular framework of JavaScript, maybe React or Angular or the rest, and then you understand either Python, Java, or C#, and then being able to work and use both of them together, you can, then you can say that you are a full stack developer. So I put a source here for you to read more about that, because this lecture is not really about this, but it's just to tell you kind of developers that are out there. So you decide which one you want to be. Okay. I won't say I'm a full stack. I understand HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and I'm learning React right now, which is a JavaScript framework. And I do backend very well, C# and Java. So depending on whichever you want to work on. But for now, I would say I'm a backend developer. So you will decide at the end of these 2 weeks which of the segments of developers you want to be. Okay, so I just briefly want to explain what client server is all about. So with this diagram, because the applications you'll be building, you need to understand how everything works and how it interacts. So for example, I think I can, sorry, I'm going to try to mute someone. Okay, because I'm hearing some background sound. Okay, you're fine. Okay, so let's go back to where we stopped. The client-server relationship. So for example, you can go to a website with your phone. On your phone, there's a browser on your phone, or you're using your laptop, or you're in the office, you are typing. So these are the clients that can access a particular website or a particular web application on the server. So most web applications reside on the server, and different clients using different devices, they can access the server by using the internet, because you have to be connected for you to be able to access something on a web application. So what we will be building will be web application residing on this server, and then people using the different devices that they have can access the application through this server. So that is the client-server relationship. And there are other things that are into consideration here, which I don't want to go into the details now because this is a beginner's class. So, but let's just understand that we are building an application that's going to be running on the server, and then we have different clients using different devices to connect to the server. Okay, the next one. Okay, so now when you have a server, an application running on a server, the application might probably be talking to a store or a repository of information called a database. I will explain what that is, but this lecture is not about that. So the repository, for example, let's say school portals. Let's say you're a student and you log into your school portal. So when you log in, you automatically see your information, your name, your department, and the other courses that you are offering on the website or your school portal. So this information are stored somewhere. Where they are stored is called the database. And the database has its own server most of the time, where the application server. So let's say you've built your application, your website. Your website is on this server. The application server is on another server, but both of them can communicate. Whereas the client that is calling this web application on the server is using a laptop or maybe a phone or something. And so using that, he does not even understand what is going on the server or what is going on at the end of the application, but he just knows that he calls the website and the website responds. Sorry, some people are joining us. I'm trying to mute. Sorry, let me quickly do that. Okay, I think we are done. Okay, so I'm going to continue from here. So like I explained, the client, the server, I explained that in the previous, let me go back. Yeah, I explained that in this place, the client accessing the server application through the internet. But in between the server and the repository of our information, the server communicates with the database to fetch the information out. So if your portal is on this server, sorry, can we see my mouse? I just need to get a response. Can we see my mouse?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, like I said, it's my first time using Zoom to do a presentation, so, but it will get better maybe in the next lecture. So the server, the application resides on this server, and your school information is being pulled from a particular server where we have the database residing. So, but the client is unaware of this. The client is just using the protocols HTTP to call this, and then it's getting its information back on the page. They don't care what is going on here, but as a developer or as a programmer, you need to understand all this. So these are the basics we need to understand. Okay, so programming paradigms. Programming paradigms has to do with the approach of how and what does what. Okay, so it's important for you to just have a brief knowledge of programming paradigms. Here I'm going to be playing some videos for you. It's just a short video of 2 minutes each for you to understand what programming paradigms are all about. So we have two basically major ones. There are others, but these are the ones we want to concern ourselves with. We have what we call declarative paradigms and imperative paradigms. So declarative talks about how, what happens, rather than low-level details of what is going on. Okay, so declarative programming concerns itself with what happens rather than low-level details of how or something happens. So with declarative programming, for example, HTML is a declarative programming where you just show the user whatever the user wants to see and presentation layer of what the user wants to see, right? So the user is not concerned of how are you showing me, or how is this thing happening, or how is this thing working in the hood. Okay, so there's a video I'm going to show you, but the other one talks about imperative programming. This needs to deal with how these things is happening. Okay, I'm seeing something, I'm seeing some magic on my website. How is it happening? What is making it to happen? So this is imperative programming. So this video will quite do justice to this explanation, which I may not be able to do properly. Okay, so after the video, if you have questions, I would like to entertain questions at that point before we go ahead. Okay, so I'll try to share the video now. Just give me a minute. While I'm doing that, do anybody have a question? Because this is a classroom, you can actually pause me and ask a question, then I can answer.
Imperative program that is designed to interpret those instructions in order to produce.
Okay, can you hear the sound of the video?
Declare your intentions in the form of instructions.
Yeah, we can hear it.
Okay.
This text then programming concerns itself with what happens rather than the lower level details of how something happens. With declarative programming, you can declare your intentions in the form of simple instructions typed into an editor. This text then provides input to a program, an imperative program, that is designed to interpret those instructions in order to produce the intended outcome. To go back to our restaurant example, the instructions given to the waiter from the customer can be compared to typing our simple instructions in the editor. Then the chef's activities, having received the instructions, can be compared to the program running behind the scenes, producing the intended results. HTML is the most widely used declarative programming language. The explosion of the World Wide Web is almost entirely down to how easy it is to work with HTML. Through the use of a relatively small set of what are called elements, we can easily type declarations in an editor that can be interpreted, formatted, and displayed in a browser. Another declarative programming language is cascading style sheets, also known as CSS. CSS is used hand in hand with HTML to provide color, layout, and general styling to websites and web-based applications. Structured query language, or SQL, is yet another hugely popular declarative language that lies at the heart of most software development. SQL allows us to access and manipulate organized data stored in what's called a database. Now, unlike HTML and CSS, SQL isn't used by a browser to do its work. It's used by what's called a database management system. So what have we just learned? Well, we discovered that declarative languages use simple instructions to carry out a task. We also found out that an imperative language is used to produce the final result of our declarative instructions. And finally, we were briefly introduced to three of software development's most commonly used declarative languages, namely HTML, CSS, and SQL.
Okay, so should I explain what we just watched? So this is buttressing more on what a declarative language is, and it has highlighted three major ones for us, which is HTML, cascading style sheets, and SQL. So in this course, we're not going to be looking at SQL, so we'll be focusing on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And so, so it has explained it to us that this presents itself or does, how do I put it now? It concerns itself about what is being done and using simple instructions to display whatever the user is interested in to see in an application, which is now different from imperative, which is concern itself on with how these instructions are being carried out and how it is being implemented. So that's just a summary of this. So these videos, I'll make it available after the lectures for as many people that want it. So I'll be playing the second one.
In our last video, we found out that an imperative programming language is used to produce the final result of our declarative instructions. Now let's take a closer look at the imperative paradigm. Imperative programming doesn't need to rely on declarative languages in order to create programs. And while imperative languages often work with declarative languages, imperative languages can be and are often used independently. The essential aspects of imperative programming are sequenced instructions and mutable data. A sequence of instructions represents the tasks that a program needs to carry out in order to do whatever it was designed to do. As with declarative programming, the instructions are represented as lines of code. The lines of code are executed one at a time from top to bottom. But the difference with imperative programming is the ability to apply logic and decision-making within these instructions. In imperative programming, this sequence of instructions is referred to as an algorithm. An algorithm often uses data as part of its execution. Data that can change over the duration of a program is called mutable data. The values of the data tell us the current state of a program. And as the data changes over the program duration, the state can also change. Data is stored in named containers called variables. Let's go back to our restaurant analogy again. The state of our sandwich changes over time as data, the ingredients, are added and mixed. The initial state might be an empty plate. The final state is a prepared sandwich ready to be eaten. And this is all done according to the sequenced instructions, the recipe, and the mutable data, which is the composition of the sandwich. So what have we just learned? Well, we discovered that the core aspects of imperative programming are sequenced instructions in the form of algorithms and mutable data. That is, data that can change over the course of the running of a program.
Okay, so that's all about the video. And this last screen that is showing really explained what this is all about. Talking about imperative programming, which are sequence of instructions, also known as algorithms. And we have mutable data. That means data that can change during the course of execution of a set of code. This might sound advanced to us right now, but I just want you to know about it and to find out more about it or to watch more videos on it. So, but right now, I would say we should not panic. Just let's forget about this for now, but it's a worthy mention that we need to talk about before we move ahead. So I need to stop this sound. So that, all right. So let's continue with our slide. Okay. So that is the end of the prerequisites for introduction to web. So right now we are going to go and we are going to go into the main reason why we are here. So which is web development. And we're going to be starting by learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So I will try to explain what they are, what they do, and how to use them. So, but before we start, we need to talk about something that I think I sent in the email. How many of us knows Git? Have you heard of GitHub?
Not really.
Not really, okay.
I do.
Okay. So for some of us that have never heard about it before, so we are going to be installing Git desktop, and we are going to register an account with Git, because everything we'll be working on will be from, we'll have a repository where we are saving our information to. So, but let me explain what that is all about. So, are we all connected with our computer? Because now it's time for practicals. No more stories. We all have our computers. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I sent an email out. Is anybody saying something?
Yes, I'm not connected to computer right now because number one.
Okay, you're using your phone.
Okay, I'm using my phone.
Yeah, it will be bad because you won't be able to follow us from henceforth. So just let's
have my time to do it later. Perhaps I'll follow.
Okay, so for us that have not done it, it will be a bit difficult for me to be able to do that with you right now. But that's why I sent out that link. We can try. We can try. I have, let me share my browser so we can go from there.
Correctness.
So let me open a new browser. You go to www.github.com. I'm logged in already. Let me try to log out. So you are going to see this if you are coming for the first time. So you can sign up for GitHub. It's very important. And if you have a Gmail profile, you don't need to be creating your profile from the beginning. Just click on register, and then you can use your Gmail profile to set it up. Okay, so we're going to sign up here. You verify your account, use your email, and it's quite straightforward. And there's also a video that you can use for that. But I already have an account, so I don't know. So how many people say they've not done this? Let me just see, just talk if you have not done this so that I can know if I'm to play the video or not.
I haven't.
Okay. Who else? Okay, just one person. That's fine. What of Visual Studio Code? Do you have it on your system? Visual Studio Code. Nobody too?
Yes.
And we have a long way to go. Okay, so let's do this quickly.
I already have it on my system.
Yeah, I think I downloaded mine this morning too.
Okay. For the video.
Visual Studio Code. Yeah.
I think I have it too. I downloaded it yesterday.
Good. So let me quickly share a video of what you need to do if you have not done Git. But maybe we can do it without Git this time around. Maybe. But it's really important we should use it because it will help us. And I will explain my reasons soon. After watching the video, I will explain my reason. Okay, let's start.
The sound is very low on the video.
You said you can't hear?
I think the sound is a bit low on the video. Yeah, I can't hear.
Okay.
I can't hear.
Yes, I would. I'll share computer sound and increase the volume. We'll start again.
Basically, why I'm making this video.
Now?
So the first thing you're going to want.
It's loud. Okay. So
yeah, it's this is perfect.
Basically, why I'm making this video. So the first thing you're going to want to do is open up a GitHub profile, download GitHub for desktop, and then log in on GitHub for desktop as you would your GitHub profile, so they're both logged in with the same account. Now on github.com, you want to click this new repository button. What that basically does is it builds a new project. So I'm going to call this one test project. I'm going to write a description called my first project. This basically goes into the README file. By default, it's public. If you pay for a GitHub subscription, you can make them private. I want to add a README file to my project. I can get to Gitnor and adding a license afterwards when I'm a little bit more experienced. But for now, let's just hit create repository. So now on my profile, I have this project called test project, which exists. It's here online on github.com, but it's not yet on my local machine. So what I need to do, I need to go over to clone or download, and I hit open in desktop. I hit allow. So what this basically is doing is going to clone the project from github.com onto my local machine using GitHub desktop. I hit clone, and the project is now here on my machine, and the first thing that's in there is my first project inside the README file. So now if I go to my file viewer, I can see the file exists here as test project, and the only thing that's in there is the README file. So I can now drag that down into my text editor, which is Sublime Text. I can see in the README file, we've got my first project, and I want to add to it an index.html file. HTML, there we go. Hit save. So I've now added the file here in Sublime Text. If I go to the file viewer, I can see it's been added here in the file. And if I go to GitHub desktop and I open it, I can see the file is ready to go. Get this file up to github.com. Make a summary. First file, index.html. Hit commit to master. And that's now finished, which means it's synced with GitHub. So if I go back to GitHub and I refresh the page on the project, I can now see the index.html has been added to my GitHub 18 seconds ago. And now any file or any changes that I make in GitHub from github.com onto your local machine so you can start working with it. Thanks for watching.
Okay, so that's basically the explanation. I'll tell you now why we need this. Okay, so for example,
400,000 naira, 400,000, 600,000, 700.
Somebody's talking about money there. I think I need to move. Yeah. Okay, so I think I have the control back to what we are talking about. What is Git and why do we need it? Okay, so because this training, like I said, it's purely practical, and I want us to understand. I want to teach us in such a way that when we get a job, immediately after this lecture, for example, you can get into an office and start working. And then you will be new to the things that people will be doing in the office for the developers. So for example, there's something they called a version control system. Okay, so version control system means that, let's say, for example, we as in this learning video, we want to build an application together, for example, and then, but we are not in the same location, right? Either we're in the same location or we're in different places. Like right now, you are in your house or you are at work or somewhere where you are, and I'm here. But we need to work together. So, and we are working on the same project. So the ability for you to be able to write your own code, push it somewhere called a repository, an ability for me to be able to write mine here and also push it to where you are pushing yours. And then we can decide which of the code should overwrite each other, or how these two codes will blend in with each other and form a single project at the end of the day. So that's what we call versioning. You are bringing your version and bringing my version, but we need to control the version to be able to come up with a single version of software. That's how elementary I want to explain this. So that is what we need Git for, so that when you are working, you can integrate with other developers. So Git basically, or version control basically helps you to do what? To have a distributed version control and for tracking changes in your software. Okay, so let's say, for example, we built a beta version of a product and then we release it out. Okay, and one of the developers decided that before we release, decided to add some things that we never agreed on into the code. So at the point when we want to release, we should be able to say that, okay, this version that this guy just added is not part of what should go to production. We can control and remove it, right? And then we can decide this and this should go to master. So all that is needed for us to be able to work together. So in the course of this training, I would like all of us to work together on a project. And so everybody will create their own branches. There's something they call branching. So you create your branch, the branch of the code. I create the branch of my code. And at the end of the day, we'll bring it together on GitHub and we'll come up with a single product. So that is what I want to start with, because it's very important. But if we can't achieve that today, maybe in the evening or tomorrow morning, we can do that. So after this lecture, you can go and create a profile on Git and set it up. Okay, so but that will be all for now. And another thing that Git can help you do is that, let's say we decide to go with a particular version and something happened, we can quickly revert to a previous version and we still have our product in production. What I mean by that is that, let's say, unfortunately, when we deployed a particular application for people to use, they started using it, maybe a mobile app, and all of a sudden there are a lot of bugs. Bugs are when you have errors. Maybe you click a page, the page is not responding, or you click a page, you're supposed to see a video of a boy smiling, and you are seeing another video, or maybe somebody crying or so. And so those are the little mistakes that developers can make. So with that, we can easily revert back to our previous changes before we made this new change. So that is what version control is all about. And for people that are learning, there are big institutions where you can learn programming. These people, they start their projects with this, because at the end of the day, they want to teach you how to work in industry. Right now where I work, we have our own version of GitHub, but it's a localized version, although it's free, but it's not the same version that everybody is using, which is free online, because we have our repository that nobody can have access to except people working in the company. And so all of us, we sit in our homes and we work and we put our code, we push our codes into the repository, and the code is being deployed and released to production. So this is the way I want us to work. But for now, let's just focus on the other things. So we'll be starting with HTML. So at this point, I'll be sharing my whole screen so that you can see how everything should go. Okay. Are we already?
Yes.
So introduction to web, it's all about how websites and web applications are built. So examples of websites, I don't need to show you an example of websites. We all know what a website is, okay? But some of us don't understand that there's a difference between a website and a web application, okay? So, but for normal people out there, everything is a website, but there's a lot of difference between both of them, right? Okay, so either it's a website or it's a web application. The user interface that people are seeing or the interaction that people are making with the website, which is visible to the user, it's being developed using HTML, CSS, JavaScript. That is the backbone. Okay, there are frameworks that other people use, but that is the major backbone. And there's something else that people do. For people that don't want to go through this, they learn WordPress or this e-commerce website and all that. In that one, you don't need to write much code. You can just drag and drop. But your knowledge of HTML will still go a long way to help you to be able to be a better WordPress developer or whatever you want to be. Okay, so that's why it is important that we all learn HTML. It is very important. Well, HTML is wide, especially for the newest version that came out recent, HTML5, which has helped to really improve what they call semantic web. We'll get to that. So what is HTML? HTML is basically hypertext.
Tommy, sleep there. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I need to mute. Okay, so HTML simply means hypertext markup language. Just look at your normal text files, Word documents. You type information in Word documents. And then hypertext means just a little more than text document, a little more than normal text or normal alphabet that you have. So which can include graphics, it can include a lot of things that you see on the website. And we now have a proper structure for this text or for this document. So that's what HTML is all about. So you'll be seeing it in what that means in the next slide. Okay, so we define HTML as a standardized system for tagging text files to achieve font, color, graphics, and hyperlink effect on www, which we all call World Wide Web. Okay, so what does this mean? Tagging text files. What's the meaning of tagging text files? So there's an history. There's a video that talks about the history of World Wide Web and how they came about World Wide Web. But this lecture is not all about that. I believe we all know what World Wide Web is. If we don't know, there's a little definition I put here. But there was a time that people needed to be able to access research documents online. And so probably somebody working in American university and someone in Australian university, they want to check the research of the person in America and I'm in Australia. And then because there was no internet, there's no way they could be able to search through all the text documents that people have in word processing them. So they came about the World Wide Web, blah, blah, blah. The story is long. I don't want to go into that, but I can share a video for you to watch after. So that is basically how HTML came into about. So we want to be able to identify text files on a browser. We all know what a browser is. So they develop HTML. And so HTML has to do with a lot of tags. So these are what we are going to be learning a lot. See the diagram I have here? All these things that looks like greater than, less than symbols and slash, blah, blah, blah. They are the tags. We call them tags. And HTML is just in this structure. This is the whole structure of HTML. Okay, this is the whole structure of HTML. So we are going to be doing practical, but I'm just trying to give you an introduction to this. Okay, so in this course, what we'll be really learning is we'll talk about, we are not going to touch everything here. That's the truth, because we have just 3 days, like I said in the beginning. So, but I'm going to teach you what you need enough to be able to build websites. An HTML, CSS, and JavaScript website. That's why I call it a practical class. And this morning is just an introduction. So you see, I've been saying a lot of stories So in the evening or tomorrow morning, for some of us that will be available in the evening, we are really going to just be doing practicals. Okay, so there won't be time for stories anymore. Practicals and explanation, practicals and explanation. So we'll be looking at World Wide Web, HTML document, and all the other things you can see here. So it's better, this, I took this course from a standard programming outfit outline. So this is, if you are learning this anywhere you are paying money to learn, this is what they will teach you. Okay, and the difference between what we are doing now and what they will be doing is that you saw the other previous video I played for you. That's what they will be playing for you. And then if you run into a problem, you can get a mentor that can, you can schedule a time with a mentor, and the mentor would help you to be able to solve the problems. Okay, but what we are doing here is a little bit different, because sometimes when you watch a video, you may not understand fully. And sometimes when you even think you understand and you want to start implementing what's on video, you encounter a lot of problems, and that could be discouraging when you start, especially if you're newbie to programming. So what we suggest at that point is that if we have people like us that are mentors to you, and then we have practical classes like this, you still watch your videos, you come to the class, you discuss about what challenges you're having after watching the video, we will resolve it for you. And then we can also guide you that, okay, you don't need this, this is what you need, this is how you should do it. You know, always having a mentor that can mentor you in this programming line is very important. So we'll be talking about all this. And then the last thing we'll be talking about, which I said is very important in HTML5, is semantic web. Semantic web is very important. And that's where we'll be ending HTML. Okay, so what is World Wide Web? I already said it, that we all know what it is. It's an information system where documents and other web resources are what's identified. That is very important. Okay, so, and they are identified by what? Something we call URL, Uniform Resource Locators. So we all know that nowadays, say go to the browser, type the URL, www.pam. So the www. What does it mean? You have it here. And then there are some set of protocols that this World Wide Web use to communicate. Okay, we all know it's HTTP dot. So HTTP means what? Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, so this is all. These are just introduction. So you should understand that the World Wide Web is information system where documents and web resources are identified using a URL, and then this communicates with what? A protocol, set of rules for communicating between one computer network to another, and we call it HTTP. So that's what you have there. So what's an HTML document? For us to be able to build a functional, probably interactive website, we need the combination of three things. Number one is HTML. The second one is CSS, which we also call cascading style sheet. And the other one is JavaScript. Okay, so HTML will help you to do a presentation to the user. Okay, so when I say presentation, like I can present myself without this headset. Okay, so this is me. Maybe I don't even have a shirt on, but with CSS, I can style myself. Styling means that I'm beautifying myself. I try to put on a shirt, I try to put this headset on and all that, maybe paint my face and the rest. And then JavaScript can put a smile on my face and make me do some naughty things and funny things. So that is the three things we need to make a happy website, or yeah, a good functional website. So those three things are very key if you want to build a good web application. So sorry when I say website, because these are just normal terms that we use, but I'll be referring to it now going forward as web application. Yeah, I think that is better to build a good web application. So like I said, we have explained what HTML is, and you can see it on the screen. Cascading style sheets used to adding styles to web pages, like I said, to beautify, you know, color, size, painting, blah, 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 and some little animations. Then JavaScript is a language in itself, okay, that adds interactivity into your website. Like I said, it can put a smile on my face and make me behave in one way or the other. So it doesn't just beautify, it adds interactivity and allows a web page to come to life. Yeah, let's put it that way, to come to life. So that is it. So now from here, and so this is the last slide I was showing. I think so. No, I don't need it. This is the last slide. So in this slide, we are going to see the structure of an HTML document, and we'll go to Visual Studio Code to start writing, or to start working on our project. Okay, so the structure starts with a doc type. I think in the next slide, I explain what that is. Okay, it starts with what we call a doc type. That means document type. We are saying to the page, this is a document type called HTML. And then we can have a language saying that, okay, the language on this website is English in US standard, or maybe UK English, or the rest of them. Okay, so there's always an opening tag and a closing tag. So the rules for HTML is that for every corresponding opening tag, there must be a corresponding closing tag. That is what you need to know, because once you make a mistake, you'll see that your website will not sit properly. For every opening tag, there's always a corresponding closing tag. So know that. So when you are using a tag, what is a tag? A tag are just all these things in greater than and less than, blah, 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 blah. So we'll go into that in practical. So like I said, I don't want to be touching all these ones one by one and be explaining. No, we'll be doing it in practical so that we'll do it together. Okay, so HTML comprises solely of elements and attributes. Okay, so what are elements and what are attributes? So we refer to these tags as elements. Anything in this sign and this sign, we call them elements. Okay, but inside the elements, we have some things that we call attributes. For example, see this HTML down here and the HTML starting up here. It has an attribute called language. So attributes are like I'll put them like characteristics of this tag. Okay, for example, human being, we have 2 hands, we have a head, we have 2 legs, and the rest of them. So the 2 hands might be this language for HTML. So just for example, for this HTML tag to be complete, it has some characteristics. So these are what we call characteristics. So we try to learn all this in the programming. So this will be all for this sharing. Let's get into the business. Please open your Visual Studio Code. Or do you have Notepad++? Maybe that would be better if we don't, because I don't think we really need to use Visual Studio Code if we don't have GitHub profile. Do you have, does anybody have Notepad++? Whichever one you have, I think it's fine. I think it's fine, let's just go ahead.
I have the Visual Studio Code.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Okay, Visual Studio Code. Let me share my screen. Okay, so this Visual Studio Code, as you can see, let me start.
Should I close mine because I opened it before?
No, it doesn't matter. Just make sure it's open. Okay. I'll tell you what to do.
Okay.
Okay, should I start now? Are we all there? Do we have Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, should I open mine?
Yes, everybody should open theirs. So henceforth, you do what I'm doing. Okay, so this is, like I said, it's a practical class, so we are going to be starting with this. Let me also open Notepad++ so that you can see. I think I should just share my own screen. I think that's better. So that you can see my movement. Okay, should be able to see my whole screen now. Can you see different things changing? You can see everything on my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay, so like I said, I'll be talking about tags, and then I'll be explaining what they are. So, but just for a quick example, doc type. When you see a doc type, for example, here, when you see a doc type, it's an instruction that associates a particular, why I don't want to say this, all these things, HTML or XML document, blah, blah, with a document definition. So we don't really need this, but just know that this is very important for it to be on your HTML page, what a doc type is. Because now you need me to define what HTML is and XML. You can find that online by Googling it. They are just some of these standards for HTML when you are communicating with a web browser. So if a web browser doesn't see all these things, it may not understand what you are trying to talk about. So that's why those ones are required. Okay, so like I said, HTML in itself begins with HTML and end with HTML. Then we have body, and it's different sections. So that's what we'll be looking at. So I believe we all have our stuff open now.
A quick question, please.
Yes, sir.
I'm on my Visual Studio Code, VS Code.
Yes, sir. Yes.
But then when I go to open editors,
yes,
I only see the welcome. I can't find the kind of screen you do have. What should I do?
Yes, this is showing an existing project that I already have.
Okay.
So, but you can just, like, we all want to start together now. So you can click on File. Okay. And so just click on, let's just say New.
New file.
Yes.
Okay.
Then
you have this Untitled editor. Yes.
Yeah. Untitled. Select editor for Untitled 1.
Yes. Okay. So now that we have this, we are going to start with this structure.
Test editor.
So, yes. Okay, we said that anything that starts with, can you all see my screen? Is it big enough? Can you see what I'm typing? Oh, I need to increase the font. Okay, so like I said, tags are in this format, opening and closing.
I'm not seeing what you're typing on.
You can't see my screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing you, but I don't. You said I should click from the Visual Studio Code now. I should click New.
Go to File, click on New.
Yeah, that's where I am now.
Yes. Then can you see all this thing I'm typing?
No, I'm not seeing anything that you're typing.
Who else cannot see what I'm typing?
I can see. Billy.
Hello, sir.
Go to you see after you are on the Untitled. Is the text editor. Click on text editor.
Okay, text editor.
And then the number 1 will appear.
Yeah. Number 1 is here.
That's where now he is. So if you notice what he's on his screen, there's the number 1 like you and I.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. I guess anything he types here now, I'll be seeing it here.
Yes.
Okay.
No, you won't see it on your computer. Just watch me. Then anything I'm doing, I'll ask you to do it. Then you do it too. But just watch my screen.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. I think we're all fine now, right? Okay. So, like I said, tags start with opening bracket, opening. I don't know the name of this thing. Is it greater than or less than? And this other one. So in between, you write your tag. Okay.
Less than and greater than.
Less than and greater than, yes. So we have, so those are tags. So anything you see in this format, anything inside is called a tag. And that this is the language that HTML understands. Okay, so following the format of the HTML and XML and blah, 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 the information is out there. So like we said, we start with what? Doc type. Okay, and then in the doc type, something was mentioned. We say it's what? HTML. Okay, so now the difference, I'm going to let you know the difference between this text editor. So for us to write our HTML, we most of the time use text editors. Okay, so text editors, yeah, just, I know I'm rushing.
I wanted to, yeah, sorry, I wanted to ask a question.
Yes.
What I'm saying in front of me now, just like Pastor said now, Untitled 1, you know, so I guess we're going to be following you, whatever it is that you do, that's what we'll do here. That's what I will do.
Yes.
Okay, but what you are typing, I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it, so I don't know.
Okay, this Untitled 1, can you click on it? Can you see where my mouse is? Can you see where my mouse is?
No, I can't see your mouse. That's the thing. I'm only seeing my own mouse, but your own, I can't see it.
I think maybe his screen is, he needs to minimize his screen, or he needs to drag the screen so that he can speak.
Okay, you know what you do? Don't type, just watch me. Okay, just watch my own screen for now. Do you understand? So when we are just trying to understand and follow, when we are done, I will give you time, then you type it, or I can, if there's a way I can copy and paste it into the meeting, the chat. I think there should be a way to copy and paste where everybody will be able to see it, right? So I can do that for you to see. Is that fine?
Okay, no problem.
Yes, because we have...
A quick question before you proceed.
Yes, sir.
Before the doc type, should I put that exclamation mark?
Yes, it's very important. Most of the time, when you are using all these standard editor, and you select and you want to create a file called HTML, it brings this for you by default. It puts the doc type there by default, so you don't usually need to type it. But because we are starting from scratch, I need to teach you how to do it from scratch. So that's why I'm doing this. For example, in Visual Studio, this is Visual Studio for, what's it called? For C#. When you create a page here, it gives you this doc type automatically. Okay. So most of us don't even remember what doc type is anymore, because this thing just type it for us. We don't need to bother. But because we are starting from scratch, that's why I'm just trying to teach us from scratch so that we can understand what everything is all about. Okay. So the next one is, once you have the doc type like this, the next one is HTML.
I'm going to ask a question.
Yes.
We know Studio Code is used for many coding, like for CS and all of that. Then I just want to bring back our attention to, if you are starting with, if you want to do HTML, how do you indicate that you are doing HTML so that the computer can automatically tell you, give you that the starting with the doc type HTML and all of that?
Okay. So like here, you know, like I said, this is an editor, and I'm trying to tell you that there's a difference, because this is just a text editor. So it's whatever you type. For example, let's do continue here. This is Notepad++. When I type here, it's just showing me normal text, right? I think I should increase the font of this guy. Okay, so here I can increase font. I don't know why increasement of font is not working here. Anyway, okay, so if I do this, for you to understand that it's HTML, you need to select language and go to H, which is HTML. So it gives you the color automatically. So this understands it, okay? But now what I'm doing for you in Visual Studio Code is just, let's continue typing. With time, I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll finish it. But since we are just learning, so let's just be typing, because what you are doing exactly right now, you can do it on ordinary Notepad on your system too, right? You can type this on. So let's just assume we are using Notepad, because most of us are not with our GitHub profile. So let's work with this first, and when it's time, I'll let you know what you need to do. Do you understand? But if you are following and you want to use Notepad++, you can easily do that right now. Does that answer your question, please?
Yes, it does. I just deliberately asked this question because I know some people have I've had the opportunity to use this Visual Studio once.
Yes.
For all of us to understand. Thank you.
Yeah. No problem. Yeah. Okay, so can we go on? So, like I said, for every opening tag, there's always a corresponding what? Closing tag.
Yeah.
That's very, very important. But that does not pertain to doc type. So doc type is just doc type. Do you understand? So if you check what we are following, doc type has just doc type. There's no closing type. But if you look at all the other ones, they have opening and closing, opening and closing, opening and closing. Do we understand? Okay. So now I've added HTML tag. I need to close it immediately. Once you follow this rule, you will not have problems in the future. So just know that immediately you open a tag, close it. Immediately you open a tag, close it. So once you do this, you will not have problems in HTML. So I open the tag, I close it. So in between, there are other tags. So I can leave a big space here. Now, for us to go ahead, let's look at a particular website or web application. I think I built this, so I'll use mine. It's a web application, not a website anyway. Because I used to say there's a difference between a website and web application. Okay. Can we see this? Can we see this text? Login Power Drive Engine. Can we see this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is called a title, right? But a title is displayed where? It's displayed in the head of your browser. So we have the head tag immediately. Close it. Okay. So now HTML is divided into the head, the body, right? So this is, I'm not teaching you HTML5 right now because when we get to semantic web, in the head, we can have what we call header, what's it called? Header tag. We have the section, we have the article tag, we have the footer. But that's not what I'm teaching right now. I'm just teaching general HTML so that we can know. So we have the head and we have the body. So in the head, let me structure it out like this so that you will see the way it is. So we start the document with HTML, we end it with HTML. So HTML is the one starting, HTML is the one ending. For every opening, there's closing. So I opened another one and say head, and then I'm closing it right here. So the next one I'll open is called a body. So that is the flesh of the page, which I'm going to explain with a visible website like I'm showing very soon. Okay? But let's just be following. So whenever I want to close a tag, I'm always using this slash. This forward slash now. Yes. I'm always using this forward. Is it forward or backward? I don't know. I think it's forward.
No,
I'm always using this forward slash to close it. So note that I'm not just closing by saying body. Do you understand? So the browser will get confused. I need to put that.
Sorry. Does it mean that without that slash, it
will not understand? Yes, it will not understand that you have closed it. So you need to put that slash. So this is opening. This is closing. The only difference between them is that slash.
Okay.
So
then
note
the other one is open, close. Okay.
Yes. So note today, open, close, open, close. This is opening. This is closing.
Closing.
This is opening.
Okay.
This is closing. This is opening. This is closing.
This is closing. Okay.
So now I can close up your page. So this is the structure, right? So now inside this head, there are things you find in the head. So when we are talking about head, look at this whole page. This is an HTML page. There's nothing more on this page than just HTML and CSS. That's all you are seeing on this page, right? But in a browser, we have the head part and we have the body part. So everything you are seeing here is the body of this HTML page. Also with your GitHub, everything here is the body. But where is the head? The head is this part, like your tab. Can you see? When I move my mouse to it, I'm seeing GitHub, github.com, right? Here I'm seeing login, powerdrive.com. So this head, whatever information you put in the head appears here. For now, that's what you need to know because there are other exceptions. But for now, whatever you put in the head appears here. So now, this text that is showing is what we call a title. Because when somebody comes to your page, they should know the title of the page they are on. Okay? And that is why we are going to add another tag into the head, not anywhere else, but into the head. We just call it a title. And the rule applies for every opening. There's a what?
There's a closing tag. Okay. Yeah.
Do you understand now? So, okay,
yes.
So whatever I now put in between. So now for this text to be appearing on this in this place or here, you need to type it into your page. So let's say, for example, I want to put my first website or my first web page, not website. Okay, so this is what is going to appear in the title when you run or when you check or view this page in a browser. Do we understand now?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So following the other structure, this is just teaching us the structure. Like you can see, this is what they explain here. The title is on the page. Then the body will now have a lot of other information. So our main work is in the body anyway. So we'll start by checking this out. So now I have the structure of my page, but in my body, I don't have anything right now. So, but the major work of our HTML is going to be focused in the body. And this is where we need to know a lot of all the tags that we need to talk about. So for now, we are going to save this page. And to save this page, you need to do what? Just do
save as.
For now, let's just do save as because I want to create a folder. Okay, so find somewhere on your, what's it called? On your system. Let me just save something. I have a complicated place I want to save it. Okay, so let me just save something zero past correct and call it. But you can save it anywhere on your system. I want to structure mine. So,
please, I have a question.
Yes.
Concerning where you started with this, the doc type, the numberings there.
Yes.
Do we have to start? Do we have to start from the beginning, like on your page? I see that number 1 it starts from the beginning of the first line.
Okay.
On the second one, the first line. There on the third one, you shift inside. So is that how we have to arrange it?
No, not really. Okay. So like I was explaining before, there are a lot of text editors, right, that can help you to do this. Okay, so I was just thinking Visual Studio Code can do a lot of programming language. We can write Python here, we can write .NET here, anything. So that's why I'm using this. But we can use any other thing. If I'm using this place, I can type everything the same on the same line, like this. Do you understand? I can do this. Okay, and I can leave space in between if I like and do the next one. Do you understand? So, but HTML will still understand it once you make sure that your tags have opening and closing. But for readability's sake, right, I am just styling it and indenting it this way, just for us to be able to see and be able to visualize. Because when everything is just starting from the edge of the screen, it will be too rough. You will not understand how this structure of this document looks like. I'm trying to let you know that there's HTML, starting with HTML here and ending with HTML here. I have a head here, and I have a closing head here, and I have a body. So, and now in the head, I'm letting you know that there's a title tag inside the head. So I don't want to let it to start from the beginning where the head is starting from. I just indented it inside. It is my own style for you to be able to understand because I'm teaching. Okay, and I think it's a good style. So, but you can either do it or not. It doesn't disturb anything. Okay, but when you are in somewhere like this, look at this. You have the head, you have the body. Okay, there are commands. Like if I should scatter this whole thing now and just rearrange it anyhow, there are commands that you can use. In this place, I can use Ctrl-K, Ctrl-D, and it rearrange everything back for me. So they call it formatting of your documents. I'm not sure I've tried that with Visual Studio Code, but it's everywhere in most of the IDE. You see, format document. So when you go to format documents, it will help you rearrange it because they too want your codes to be readable. Do you understand? So this is entirely up to you. But for now, for you to understand, I'm trying to indent it myself manually. And I'm sure.
I wanted to ask something.
Yeah.
I'm seeing your mouse now. What you're teaching,
yes.
The doc type, HTML, everything. I'm seeing it now. But at the same time, I've tried to see how I can. Of course, I've minimized my Visual Studio Code, but I'm trying to see how I can, because by the time when I click the Visual Studio Code, this your page, the thing goes off. It's like the both of them cannot stay at the same time. So I'm just trying to concentrate on what you are teaching now. Then maybe after which I can then open my Visual Studio Code and also. I don't know if you get the question I'm trying to, because it's like the both of them, they can't stay at the same time. If not, I probably would have loved to be doing the same thing. But
no, don't do it right now. Just watch and listen. It's better to understand, see how I'm doing it, and understand how I'm explaining. Then, like one of the reasons why I said we should have GitHub is that I can now push this code to GitHub, and everybody can go and clone it. And then you see it automatically on your system without going to go through typing anymore. Do you understand? So everybody can have it at the same time. Then we all have the same thing we worked on. Okay. And
but I have the GitHub on my.
Yes, we'll get there.
We'll
get there.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. So just watch for now and listen.
Okay.
So now it's very important at this point. I want to save my document. Let me rename it properly. Exercises. Then I have first exercise. Let me create a new folder. Okay, I have my reasons for doing this. So this is our first page. So now this page, like it said, this page, like Oni or Adebola said, we don't know whether the document right now, the page does not know whether this is HTML or not. So, but when we want to save the page, we can save it as, if we want to save it as .txt, making it a text file. But saving it as .html is what is going to make it an HTML page. Do you understand? So in the saving, it's very important for you to know the extension that you use to save. Okay. So for example, this is our first web page. So I can just name it first web page .html. So this extension is what saves it like with a browser icon, whatever browser you have in your system. So some people use .htm or .html. So, but please just always use .html. It's better. It's better. So that's all we have to do now. So we are saving the page as first web page.html. Save. Okay. Can you see that immediately I saved it, it changes the color?
A quick question here. Should I save it as plain text because I'm using a Mac? So should I?
Okay. No, you still need to save as .html, even if you are using a Mac.
Yeah, but then do I leave it as it's asking me format type? So should I just
once you save it, once you put dot in the name, first web page .html, put this in the name together, first web page .html, and then click on save. Don't worry about the type that Mark is bringing out. It will save the document automatically as HTML by itself without you doing anything.
Thank you.
Okay. So do we understand now what happened now in Visual Studio Code? Remember when we were doing it, it was not giving us this color because it has not seen the page as HTML yet. But now immediately we saved it as .html, it changes the color. So this is how Visual Studio does its own, Visual Studio Code. But with Notepad++, you can go and select the language. If I decide to turn this language to maybe JSON, it will give me another color. So that's one of the beauty of this Notepad++. That's why I said, in case you have Notepad++, you can have it, but it's not compulsory. Okay? All right, so this is it. So now, Visual Studio has a problem which I've not been able to fix, but I have a way around it. I have saved this page, for me to be able to view it in a browser, because the essence of having an HTML page is for us to be able to do what? To view it in a browser, because HTML page most of the time runs on browser, or you can open it with a notepad or a text pad or a Word document, word processing application. So to do this, I would right click on this. Please just follow, right? I'm also recording this video so that maybe we can have access to it later in case you don't still follow. So you can see what I did and you can follow up with it. Okay, so I can go to open reveal in File Explorer. Reveal in File Explorer means that I want to see where it is in my system. So because I have Google Chrome as my default web page, as my default browser, sorry, it turned the icon to a Chrome or a browser icon. So with this, all I just need to do is to double click it and check it out on the browser. Okay, so this is it in the browser. You can see my first web page showing, right? This is what I typed in the title. That's why it's showing. And then there's nothing in the body. So this is how it's going to be for now, because this is all I've said. All I've instructed the system is that put the title as what? My first web page. And that's all it's doing. So nothing more. So with this, you have successfully created your first HTML web page. Now we need to concentrate on what is going to be in this page. Okay, and so with that, we need to learn a lot of tags. A lot of tags we need to learn. So following our course, let's go back to where we said we are going to do. So I've explained the HTML document and the structural elements. So now we are going to go into the content. We'll talk about headings, paragraph, divs. You see, it's almost time and we have not done anything, right? This is what I expect because it's meant to be an introduction. So in the evening, for those of us that will be able to join from 6 to 8, we are going to go further. Probably we'll get to this place and then tomorrow morning we'll complete this and start with CSS. And then on Wednesday, we'll concentrate on JavaScript. So, but I want you to all be ready. Let all your GitHub and everything be ready so that nobody will draw us back. Okay, so now we are going to go into the content and talked about the headers. So somebody can actually, do we have like a guide that we follow? Yes, I do, but this will be like talking stories, right? But I want us to do what? To do practical. So I'll be explaining this practically. Then you can go and check out some of the documents of other videos where you can now learn the stories about all these items. Is that okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead. So the first thing in the body that we should learn is what we call the header tag. Header tag starts, okay, yeah, I forgot to mention, sorry. Everything you do in HTML, please make sure it's in lowercase. Lowercase, don't use capital letter. Please make sure it's in lowercase, except for your content. When I make your content, these are what you type in. But when we are talking about the tags, make sure they are all in lowercase. So we start with the header, yes, thank you. So now there's an header, H1. We have ruling, we call them ruler sizes, right? So we have H1, H2, H3, up to H6 to display headings of a page. Let's say, for example, remember that when HTML was developed or was invented, it was basically to help newspapers, companies, and magazine companies to be able to structure out their stuff, and also for the researchers and all that. So they really created some of these tags to be able to assist. So an header is just to show the heading of a section or a segment of a page. Okay, so that's what that is about. You can type in anything. Maybe you say hello world. Okay, so when you save this, you can preview by refreshing your page. You see this on the page immediately, hello world. Okay, and you can see that it's so bold and big because this is the biggest header that you can have. Okay, instead of typing with manually, now I can copy and paste. Yeah, I can.
Sorry, another question. This other last page that you just flipped over, that's the GitHub page now, right?
No, that's the browser. So what happens
that's the browser. Okay.
What happened is what I'm doing is I'm in the body right now, right? Okay. Remember at first when we came to this page, let me explain it this way. Let me remove everything. I like carrying people along. I'm sorry for other people if they think we are going back and forth. Okay, so this is our page, right? And I refresh. There's nothing on this page. The only thing we put here is title. Okay? All right. And that title can only be shown in the header of the page. And where's your header? Your tab.
Yeah.
Your tab. You can see it, right? So now in the body, all this white space is the body of your HTML page, which means that you need to put something there. And remember, the only language that HTML understands are tags, right? I mentioned that. Okay. So now we have a tag called ruler, or which we call the header tag, right? So and we have sizes of the header tags. So we have from 1 to 6. That's what I'm trying to do right now. Okay. Somebody should notice that I'm doing something wrong right now. Can you notice anything? Can anybody check what I'm doing wrong?
The closing
yes,
tag.
Thank you very much, sir. The closing tags. So for every opening tag, there should be a what? Closing tag.
Closing
yes,
tag.
I have a closing tag, but I'm using the wrong tag to close it.
Okay.
Okay. So once you have
because the tag should be on the left hand side, Abby.
No. The problem is if you are using the H2 tag, then you should close it with H2 tag and not H1 tag.
Okay, H1. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
If you are using header 3, you should close it with header 3. So that's what I'm doing wrong. So you must not make that mistake. Okay. So there are other tags I'm going to introduce you to, which I'm going to be fast with it. I will get it and understand it perfectly. So this is just to display hello world in different ruling. This is 6. Mistake here. Okay, so when I finish typing, I save my page. I do Ctrl+S, or you can come here and just do save, right? So because if you don't save your page, you will not see, or if you don't save your document, you will not see the changes here on this page. So now because I have saved, I will just come to refresh button and reload the page. So you can see the different ruling of the headers right now. So this is the H1. This is the H2, this is the H3, this is the H4, this is the H5, and 6. So this is just displaying to you what an header tag could be like. So let's say you go to a website and then you see, for example, let me quickly log in here and see how information are displayed. Okay, so for example, see this last 5 transactions. Okay, so there's nothing on this page. Let's log in as something else so we can see how to. Or anyway, let's not waste time with that. So we can do. I can't remember the other password. Okay, so but let's not waste time. We can check out maybe a news website or maybe Yahoo website and all that. So we'll see a different example of headers and how it is being used. Okay, let's see whether there's something. Okay, then for example, see this. Although this is something else, but we can use it as an header. Like maybe you want to write this. This could be H1, H2, H3, depending on whatever styling that they give onto it, and you can put an information below. Okay. So this could be, I'm not saying it is, this could be an H4 or H5, and then it's just an header for this instruction down here. Do you understand? So that's how you use an header on a web page. So let's be learning the tags now. So when we are building our site, then everything becomes, makes a lot of sense. And then the project we'll be doing, because after this, by tomorrow morning, I'll give us a project which we are going to do before the evening or before Wednesday morning. The goal that we'll be working with, because my time is fast spent now, but I'll spend extra, I said to our 30 minutes. If you want to leave, you can let me know. I'll spend the extra 15 minutes or so if we still have the time. there is a page I want to display to you guys. Where is this? Okay, so a while back, some students built this. I won't say some students. We did it together as a test in the class. So what they did is they built this, all what you are looking at here. Sorry, the logo is not showing. The image is no longer available. This was done like 4 years ago. All they built was just HTML. They did not use enough styling. They just used inline CSS. But the test of this is just to see how JavaScript works. So this is a web page that is not communicating with any database or anything. But what it's doing is just doing it's a GP calculator, like a grade point calculator for students and their score in different courses. So I'm going to give you an example, an assignment like this, so that you can see how you integrate your HTML, CSS, and JavaScript together. This is a poor one, but this is just for showing their skills in JavaScript. For example, when you enter a score of 65 over 100, and in a unit of 2 unit course, it calculates the grade for you automatically and gives you the grade point here. So if you have, let's say you had 78 in a 3 unit course, it gives you an A. So depending on whatever you type, let's say I put 43 in a 1 unit course, I get an E. So this is being done by JavaScript. Okay. Sorry, in a 3 unit course. Okay. Let's because anything from 39 below is an F, I think, for unit course. Okay. So and then you can calculate your total GPA. So this is being achieved using JavaScript. So we can have as little as this simple project. Okay. So, but for this morning, I'm not going to give us any project because we have not done anything. We have just started. Okay. So I'll try to introduce us to other tags too. Okay. So this is the header tag. We have another important tag that we call paragraph. It's just a P. You can see now that we have saved our page as HTML. Automatically, immediately I typed P, it's closing it for me. I did a P and I close it. It gives me a closing tag. So I can say, hi there, I'm a paragraph. Okay, so this P is used for paragraphs. When you are typing, maybe you're typing a chunk load of text, and then you just want to start on another paragraph. So you can have it all here. We are going to do more examples when I come back. I'm going to go and look for a lot of text that we can type in here, but we don't have the time now. Okay, there's another important tag called, which one should I do now? Okay, before I go on, let's see how this looks. Then I'll explain other things that you can do in the paragraph. Okay, so this is just a paragraph. So this will just follow formal font, normal fonts. I don't want to talk about CSS now, so let's not talk about it. But for example, see this. This is just a normal paragraph. I can decide to style it a bit, another paragraph, and say, I want only the idea to be bold in color and the other ones to be the normal font. What this B? B is a tag. What B is doing is to make the part of the text bold. Can you see? And then it leaves the other one normal. So the difference between this paragraph up here and this paragraph down here is that because I have added an extra tag to just make this a little bit bold than the other one up there. Do we understand that?
Sorry,
so
come again. 1 minute, please.
Okay, yeah. What I'm saying is that right now, I'm trying to be fast because we'll finish in the next 10 minutes. But I'm trying to introduce other tags to us because there are so many. And you won't know everything, but the more you work on websites, the more you learn more about tags. But there are some basic ones you should understand, even if they wake you up in the night. Paragraph is one of them. Header tag is one of them. But I'm saying that I have a paragraph and I put my text in between, that is fine. But in between the paragraph, I can have some other styling I want. There's another tag called bold. If you want to make the text look bold, you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so which is this. So I decided just to bold this part of the text and leave the other ones empty. And that's the result I'm seeing on the page here. So this part is bold and this other one is empty. And the last one I'll be talking about is still paragraph, making this place bold and adding what we call an emphasis. EM is an emphasis. You know, there are some texts that when you add emphasis to them, they look like it's in italics color. I hope we all understand what I'm talking about. We use Word document, right? Do we all use Word document? Who doesn't know how to use Word document? Okay, so emphasis puts an emphasis on the text. So the emphasis tag is called EM. So I can save and we can view this. Okay, can you see the difference between the top, this one, and this one?
Yeah.
You can see this place looks a little bit like italics, like
italics,
there's an emphasis on it. Yes. So these are all the tags doing all this work, right? So there are lots of tags. We have the anchor tag, we call it the A. Anchor tag is what they call it, right? So it's like what people call it hyperlink. For example, where's our GitHub? This, you can see when I move my mouse on this, you can see it's showing something, and it's showing, instead of using my mouse, it's showing a hand, right? So I can click, and then it takes me somewhere else. Okay, so that's an hyperlink. Okay, and we represent it with A. So I can say click here. Sorry. Click. Okay, then it has a special, I don't want to go into this now, but let's leave it this way first. Because I don't want to talk about attributes, because we've not started talking about attributes. Okay, let's see it. Okay, so because I did not put an attribute, I cannot, it's not clickable. So if I had an attribute called href, blah, 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 I just put something. And save, let's come. Okay, then it becomes something that looks clickable. Okay, so what makes it clickable is by adding this hyperlink reference, which we call an attribute, okay, to this. So that means that you can't have an anchor tag without having where it's linking to. Although it might not be linking anywhere, like in my case, I just put rubbish here, but it's just for you to know that, okay, you have an anchor tag called hyperlink that you can use to link one page from one page to another. And most of your menu items in a project or in a site are hyperlink. Okay, so all this that you're looking at, setup management company, clicking, and it's moving into another page, they are all hyperlinks. So we show them in different or diverse ways. Okay, so that is hyperlink for us. All right, so this is where we'll be stopping for now. There are a lot of other things we need to know. The content is quite rich. We'll be talking about, I've talked about paragraphs, I've talked about headings. Sorry, my mouse. I will be talking about divs and span, comments, attributes. Yes, I wanted to wait till I get here before I talk about attributes, links, and all that. So I don't want you to be discouraged now, because to me, assuming I'm the one attending this class, I would say, okay, so what are we doing? All these things. So, but this is the elementary, and this is where programming starts. Remember, we talked about imperative and declarative paradigms. So this are just declarative paradigms that are just showing us what to be shown. Well, it's not really doing any major thing. We are not really seeing how, as in we are not really seeing any special thing being done from the back end, right? But we are just displaying something to the user, and that is what we are learning now. So what we'll do is we'll learn more tags, because HTML is all about tags. Then we'll get to where we'll be able to split our page into different sections. You can see like this page now. Why I said this is not a web application, this is not a website, it's an application that they use for vending electricity current credits in Africa somewhere. Okay, so this you can split your pages into a lot of sections. Okay, and like I showed in this PowerPoint earlier, this. So now we've talked about the doc type, HTML, head, and the body, and the content of the body. Okay, so now the content is the major thing we want to work on. And for us to be able to do that, we need to know a lot of tags. And so we need to learn all these tags one by one. And after learning it, we'll now use the whole knowledge that we've gathered to build a functional HTML page that will make a lot of sense. Is that understood?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you are not going to be available in the evening, please let me know. Maybe you send a mail to Developers College. You have the email that I sent to you. From there, I would know how to plan the course. I will make some recordings also so that you can have access to it. But really,